The Cadillac Bombshell. Why Christian Horner's next move could change everything. Christian Horner's phone has been ringing non-stop since his Red Bull departure, but there's one call that could reshape the entire Formula One grid. Sources close to Cadillac's operation suggest that the American team is considering a move so bold it would make their 2026 entry the most talked-about story in decades. And it involves stealing Red Bull's mastermind to lead their championship charge. What you're about to hear could explain why Sergio Perez suddenly looks optimistic about his future, why Valtteri Bottas might have serious competition, and why Mario Andretti has been unusually quiet about their team principal situation. Because, according to German media reports, everything Cadillac has planned could be about to change. Here's the situation Cadillac finds itself in. They've got Graeme Lowden confirmed as team principal, but that decision was made long before Christian Horner became available. Think about this timing. Horner built Red Bull from a struggling midfield team into an 8-time championship winner over 20 years. Now he's free, and Cadillac is essentially starting from scratch as the 11th team on the grid. The pressure is mounting because Cadillac isn't just entering F1 to make up the numbers. According to sources, they're planning to fight at the front within 3 years. That's an incredibly ambitious timeline that requires experience they simply don't have. Meanwhile, their driver situation has become increasingly complex, with reports suggesting they're torn between two experienced drivers in Perez and Bottas, or going with the safer route of pairing experience with youth. But here's where it gets interesting. The availability of Horner could solve multiple problems at once. And according to Mario Andretti, Cadillac's director, recent events at Red Bull have actually strengthened their case for certain drivers. Andretti specifically pointed to how Liam Lawson and Yuki Tsunoda performed in Red Bull machinery, suggesting that driver struggles might have been more about the car than individual performance. The stakes couldn't be higher, because this is Cadillac's one shot. As Andretti himself said, such opportunities are presented once in a lifetime. But what you're about to discover about Horner's potential move reveals something much bigger about Cadillac's true ambitions. On the surface, keeping Lowden seems like the logical choice. He's already been announced, contracts are in place, and changing leadership this close to entry could create unnecessary chaos. That's probably what most teams would do, stick with the plan and avoid rocking the boat. But Cadillac isn't most teams. According to German media reports that have started circulating, there's serious consideration being given to approaching Horner for the team principal role. And when you look at the comparison between Lowden and Horner, it becomes a no-brainer. Horner brings 2 decades of F1 experience, including the unique perspective of building a team from the ground up, exactly what Cadillac needs. When he joined Red Bull, he had 0 experience as a team leader, just like Cadillac's current situation. But look what happened. 8 drivers' championships and 6 constructors' titles. The financial argument makes sense, too. While Horner could pursue part ownership in Alpine, that would require over $300 million for just a 20% stake according to current valuations. Even with financial backing, turning around Alpine's hierarchy and discipline issues would be far more challenging than starting fresh with Cadillac. But there's a massive complication that nobody's talking about, and it involves the one driver everyone assumes is Cadillac's top target. Here's what changes everything. If Horner becomes Cadillac's team principal, it completely alters their driver dynamics, especially with Sergio Perez. Think about this situation. Horner was the team principal when Perez got ousted from Red Bull. Yes, the philosophy was clear: perform or get replaced. But Perez still lived through that experience under Horner's leadership. Now, would the Mexican driver really want to work with the same person again, even under different circumstances? This is where Cadillac's driver strategy gets complicated. Toto Wolff recently made it clear that Valtteri Bottas is actively seeking a full-time race seat for 2026. According to Wolff, we know Valtteri's priority is to try and find a race seat for 2026. He's eminently qualified to do that, and I'd say a front-running candidate in that regard as well. Bottas brings something Perez doesn't, a clean slate with any potential team principal. Plus, his track record speaks volumes. never missed a Q3 appearance from 2017 to 2021, 10 career wins, and according to Mercedes' Bradley Lord, he's been instrumental in developing Kimi Antonelli. Lord specifically stated that the development of Antonelli wouldn't have been possible without the input of Bottas. But here's the kicker. Perez brings approximately $30 million in sponsorship backing. For a rookie team entering F1, that's not just helpful, it's potentially crucial. As one source close to the situation noted, for that amount of money, you'd think twice too. The plot thickens when you consider the second seat. Everyone assumed Mick Schumacher had the inside track, but recent reports suggest he's heading to WEC with just a reserve F1 role, hardly the progress he was hoping for. What happens next could determine not just Cadillac's lineup, but the entire competitive balance of F1. If Cadillac makes the bold move to replace Lowden with Horner, they're essentially betting their entire F1 project on redemption stories. Horner gets his chance to prove he wasn't the problem at Red Bull. Perez, if they can work together, gets his opportunity to show the 2021 and 2023 versions of himself in different machinery. But the ripple effects go far beyond just one team. Consider what this does to the driver market. If Bottas lands at Cadillac, Mercedes loses a valuable asset who's been crucial to their young driver development. If Perez joins Cadillac with his financial backing, it could accelerate their competitiveness timeline significantly. Then there's the wildcard scenario everyone's whispering about. What if Yuki Tsunoda becomes available? According to sources, Tsunoda knows the RB21 is difficult to adapt to, and there are no guarantees Red Bull will remain dominant from 2026 onwards. A change of environment could be exactly what the Japanese driver needs, and compared to other young options like Felipe Drugovich, Jack Crawford, or Alex Dunn, Tsunoda brings actual F1 race experience. The timing couldn't be more critical. New regulations in 2026 mean everyone starts relatively equal. Teams that make the right personnel decisions now could establish advantages that last for years. Teams that get it wrong might never recover. But there's one scenario that could blow up all these carefully laid plans. Here's what we don't know yet, and these answers will determine everything. Is Horner actually interested in the Cadillac role, or are the German media reports just speculation? If he does join, can he and Perez put their Red Bull history behind them for mutual benefit? More importantly, what's Cadillac's real timeline? They say 3 years to fight at the front, but F1 history suggests that's incredibly optimistic, even with unlimited resources. Are they prepared for a longer rebuild, or do they need immediate results to justify their investment? The driver market adds another layer of uncertainty. Bottas is actively shopping himself around, but he's not getting any younger. Perez brings money, but comes with performance questions. The young drivers lack experience but offer long-term potential. And here's the biggest question. What if this is all a negotiating tactic? What if Cadillac is using the Horner rumors to strengthen their position with current personnel and driver targets? The next few weeks are going to be crucial. Watch for any official statements from Cadillac about their leadership structure. Pay attention to where Bottas ends up. It'll tell us a lot about how seriously teams are taking the new regulations. And keep an eye on Tsunoda's situation at Red Bull. What do you think? Should Cadillac make the bold move for Horner, or stick with their original plan? Would you rather see them go with experience in both driver seats, or take a chance on developing young talent? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to stay ahead of every F1 development as we approach 2026, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. Because trust me, this Cadillac story is just getting started.